What became so popular at your school that the teachers had to ban it? Camo colors. They somehow banned it school-wide because they were gang colors. Camo gang. When I was younger, we played this where you'd draw a circle on your hand and other people would try to draw a line inside of it. If someone was able to draw a line in your circle, then you were out. The objective of the game was to be the last one standing. It was small at first, but eventually almost everyone in my grade became involved, and it spiraled out of control. Chaos. Pure freaking chaos. Kids were tackling each other, running away from other students, disrupting lessons, etc. Teachers eventually began to talk to us about how far our game had gone, and started banning it altogether. It was fun while it lasted, boys. Reminds me of a really cool battle royal our school did during a school trip. We often had trips with the entire school, so it was class 712, approx. 200 people. Everyone got a small letter with the name of a different student on it. You had to give that person an item. Any random it, all that was important was that the item exchanged hands from you to said student, willingly. If you managed this, said student would have to give you their name. The students with the most name letters at the end of the week would get a prize. Best game ever. So much paranoia, so much fake friendliness, etc. For example, someone gave out some sweets. Everyone took one. Suddenly he was like, frick yeah. The entire point of giving everyone sweets was to get that one person who was in his vicinity to take one. If anyone asked you, hey, wanna have a bonbon, everyone was like, nope, forget it. Because they thought it was a pool attempt at them. I also remember having a letter suddenly come through the door addressed at me that said come to this and that room at this time, and when I arrived it was my best friends who called themselves the Dark Brotherhood and made a plan where we would exchange letters to better plan our targets. I love how an innocent game can manifest secret societies amongst children. Well, we were in 11 or 12th grade at that time. So 17-18 years old. I don't think he misspoke. This message brought to you by 1999 gang. This is really similar to the game Assassin, except that you have to trick the person into accepting something, instead of just being able to shoot them with a Nerf dart, tennis ball. We played Assassin in college, and most of the school played. You signed up, provided a picture of you was taken, and everyone was given a random person's picture and first name. Your objective was to find that person and shoot them in the torso with a Nerf dart. They could defend themselves by throwing a sock at you, which meant you couldn't shoot them for 4 hours. If you shot them, they gave you the photo of their target, and that was your new target. The dorm association gave out awards to the winner, runner-up, most kills, and a few others. Capri Suns. Kids were too stupid to figure out how to get the straws in, and teachers got tired of helping everyone. That's hilarious and sad. What's weird is Capri Suns were easy to puncture, but it feels like between 2005 to 2009 they suddenly became stupidly hard to puncture. 2005 was the year they started using cured leather instead of plastic for the pouches. Sounds like bullet, but I don't know enough about Capri Sun to dispute it. Was your school next to a lead mine by chance? Rulers. Year 10 and HS. For whatever reason someone decided to smack a guy across the head with a ruler. Then everyone went out and bought a ruler. Suddenly everyone was a knight with a sword. Staff kept confiscating them, but rulers are cheap, so kids just went out and bought them by the handful. They ended up banning rulers at a school. The kids who were taking geometry that year and needed them had to be assigned rulers at the beginning of class and then turn them back in. If you rub the metal edge of a ruler against the sole of your shoe really fast back and forth, it gets hot enough to seriously burn someone and leave a scar. A kid did that to me back in 8th grade. Hurt like hell and left a mark that took a decade to fade. I was pissed. When I was in elementary, a girl took one of those rulers with the raised rubber grip on the flat side and rubbed it up and down in the middle of her forehead really fast. Ended up leaving a scar at least until end of high school. None of us ever understood why she did that. Well, at least she did it to herself. Kids did that with erasers on the back of their hands at my middle school. They'd rub until they had an open wound and they'd just keep it up so that it never healed. School couldn't ban erasers. but kids with open wounds on the back of their hands got in trouble. And this wasn't the emo crowd doing this. The most popular kids in school started the trend. I thought it was stupid in middle school, and now as an adult I'm honestly concerned about the girls who started the trend. Hair flips. Circa 2003, long skater hair was very trendy. Said kids were flipping their hair out of their eyes, face. An 8th grade history teacher went on a vendetta under the reasoning that hair flips pollute the air with hair dirt. Kids started getting detentions. That's a really stupid pretense, but I can understand why the teachers got annoyed with a room full of kids flipping their hair like they have Tourette's syndrome. My teachers in high school just mercilessly mocked the hair flippers until they knocked it off. The hair flippers discovered that it drove the teacher mad, so they began flipping it consciously to piss her off. She created her own monster. People bringing in their Game Boy Color and playing during recess. Kids were getting mad they weren't getting turns and they were afraid of someone stealing games. Freaking Jeremy found a copy of Pokemon Silver the day after mine was stolen out of my backpack. Can't get too mad at the kid though. His brother was thrown in jail for murdering their mum about a year after that. Well, this escalated quickly. His brother wanted to be the very worst that no one ever was. I was in high school when cell phones finally became accessible enough for most people to have one. It took about a week of senior year for them to declare that no phones were allowed anywhere on school property. Same for my class. But now kids literally have theirs out at their desks using them and the teachers are compliant. Yeah, the handbook still says no phones allowed, but that's just not a thing anymore. Kids are, usually, respectful enough not to use them when the teacher is lecturing, but after the lesson is done they're all out. Always, everything. Our class president freshman year ran on making them allowed during lunch, and that turned into they're allowed at all times. By junior year we became a tech-friendly campus and now we have school Wi-Fi and you're allowed to bring in any device you want. Laptop, tablet, whatever. I went to my high school and did a few days of field observation for an education class, and most of the kids had their cell phones out on their desks, even though the rules were still no cell phones during class or they'll be confiscated. I asked the teacher, and she said it was just not worth the effort, so long as the students still did their work. Also everything was done on iPads that were loaned out by the school. Very different from when I was there 6-10 years ago. Slap bracelets. I remember in the 80s, early 90s when they got banned at my school. The rumor that went around school was that somewhere some kid had sliced their finger down to the bone with a cheap imitation slap bracelet. And now parents all over the country were pushing back. Somewhere some kid had sliced their finger down to the bone with a cheap imitation slap bracelet. This is exactly the type rumor I would expect from suburban moms. This is also exactly what happened to me. My cousin was slapping me with a band, a thin sheet of metal, without its cover on, so I grabbed it and he yanked. Sliced my finger and palm to the bone. He still blames me for holding onto it. You are the kid from the rumors. I'm completely starstruck here. There was a kid in my high school who made probably around $500 in a month for making duct tape wallets. Administration found out, but didn't ban the wallets, just banned conducting business on school grounds. Someone went around school and sold his origami at 50p a piece. He'd get orders every day and then make them at home. Sounds like the school should support the entrepreneurship of its more motivated students, assuming everything they are selling is legal. My school had a bake sale for a kid whose family lost their house in a flood. Obviously it wasn't going to make a ton of money, it was about the thought. The cafeteria's supply company ordered the school to shut the bake sale down, as it violated their no-compete clause on selling food in the school. The school complied and banned bake sales. Yup, I was in the culinary arts program at my high school, and an important part of that was learning to balance orders and work cohesively as a team. The cafeteria company banned us from selling anything, even though it was part of the educational curriculum. A similar thing happened when we started partnering with a local school for the mentally disabled that is very highly regarded nationally. People relocate across the country so that their disabled family members can attend this school. They wanted to have some of the disabled students run a breakfast bar, under heavy staff and medical supervision. Of course, The point was to give them something akin to work experience so that they might be able to learn basic food service tasks and hold a job one day. The supplier nixed that, too. This was breakfast food that was made completely by adult volunteers. They declared all allergens, etc. Did everything right. The students were only going to serve it. Nope. Violated the anti-compete. They ran it for a few weeks before the supplier caught wind of it and ordered it to be shut down. A lot of us were really pissed about that. Many of us. Because they were taking away a real life opportunity from seriously disabled people who probably won't ever get that opportunity otherwise. And some kids really just wanted an egg and cheese sandwich in the morning. Because they woke up at 4:30 AM. To catch the bus. We are only allowed to have €2 money for bus. If a teacher that even cares caught you, the teacher would be allowed to take the money and keep it. This was changed due to making it a crime. One time a teacher took €75 from a student. Luckily she was forced to give it back. What the frick is the reasoning behind that? What trouble could you get into with €2? I don't know how they go €2 specifically, but they probably wanted to prevent students from carrying enough money to buy drugs. Ah yes. Because the students buying drugs are definitely going to follow your stupid rules. You want to visit a friend and eat ice cream after school? Either you walk home or no ice for you. When exactly was stealing not a crime?